Hello there and welcome to the video. Another game from the 5th round tiebreaks, and I think in many respects this was the marquee matchup of the 5th round. I think outside of Magnus, these are probably the two strongest players left, and I think the winner of this matchup is a favorite to make it all the way to finals. They played 5 games up to this point, so this is a rapid game. All of them are drawn. In the first 10 game, Sergey put up massive pressure against Vachier-Lagrave in an endgame, but Vachier-Lagrave was able to defend. He had a bad bishop against a good knight, and Karjakin went in all kinds of circles and tried to break him down, but Maxime was up to the task, so now he gets the white pieces. And well, if somebody wins this game, he is through to the final 8, through to the next round. So let's see what happened. And Maxime goes d4 here. Perhaps a slight surprise, but this is a rapid game and sometimes people play different kind of systems, and indeed knight c3 is a different kind of system. We have the Vachier-Lagrave opening, and after d5 bishop f4 we have what is generally called the Yobava London system these days. So a London system with kind of a London system and Vachier-Lagrave mixed together. So c5 here, principled move by Karjakin, e3, a6. We do not want to allow this guy in here. Now curiously, Karjakin played a similar kind of opening in a previous round where he advanced. A game I kind of wanted to look at, and I might add it to my channel if I have time. But on to this one, knight to f3, c takes d4, e takes d4, and bishop g4. Funnily enough, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was browsing through a book on how to play against some of these sidelines, and I think this was the line recommended by Boris Avruk in his book, to take on d4 and play bishop g4. So that's what we have on the board, knight c6, and this is basically the exchange variation of the Karjakin with different move order and then different piece setup, and this guy is slightly out of play, so white is happy to take back with the knight here and kind of get this typical reversed Karlspad structure, as we call this. And this can come from the Queen's Gambit declined with colors reversed, and of course the exchange Karjakin as we have here. So bishop b7, and now aggressive play by MVL. And we can kind of categorize this game as Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the attacker, and Karjakin has been well known as the Minister of Defense. So we'll see what comes out on top here, the attack or the defense. So h4 by the attacker, h5 by the defender. So not allowing white to gain more space on the king side, but on the other hand, this pawn can become a target, especially if after knight e4 there's knight to g3. And now the computer thinks g6 is the most solid move, and it does make a lot of sense. Putting pawns on light squares, protecting the pawn, goes well with a dark squared bishop. But Karjakin takes on h4, and now we have a series of moves here, exchanges, knight takes e4, d takes e4, knight c5. White is currently down a pawn, but he's going to win this one or this one. Bishop retreats, and Vachier-Lagrave takes on h5. We have captures, and queen to d5. Now here, white has the option: does he take on d5, or does he give a check here and then take on b7? Some complications if you give the check and take on b7. Probably bishop f8 will be played. We're going to take this, and maybe black takes this. And here white would have to decide, okay, do you want to play this, or do I want to calculate something like this, and takes. A lot of complications, and in the end, after queen d5, MVL went for queen takes d5, trading off the queens and then taking on b7. So he wins a pawn. The bishop covers this. There's no rook b8 to win this pawn. So white has won a pawn. g5, bishop d6. Trying to keep, well, first of all keep control here and try to get the knight out. So rook a7. Now we have to trade on e7 because otherwise the knight doesn't get out. Rook takes b7 and bishop back to a3. So white has maintained the pawn, but now black has all his pieces active and he has a nice pawn majority here over on the king side, and he can swing his rook over to the open h file all the way over here. King e2 and rook h7. Otherwise white would take control of the file. The bishop tries to go to a better square, goes to c5, f4 and b4. White is trying to get going with his pawns, and black needs to find counterplay, and find it he does. Rook h2, and probably Maxime should spend a move here to defend the pawn, play rook g1 and then get on with it on the queen side. He, however, gets on with it immediately with a4, but after king f1, f3, he will come to regret that decision. After b5, e3, a very strong move here by the Minister of Defense, Sergey Karjakin. Now if you take the knight, I will play e2 check, followed by rook g1. Take this and I queen, and I easily stop the pawn from queening here. So after e3, Maxime took, but now knight a5. The knight is coming in. And the big threat is here and check. Another idea could be here, here, and mate. Maxime played bishop a3, and the knight jumped into b3. And things are simply beyond salvation. At this point, rook d1. Well, there wasn't a lot of choice. Can't go here. This, we check it off. Here we take it. Here we get mated in one, so rook d1 was the only square. And now Karjakin calmly took on b5, which prompted Maxime to resign the game. If he takes, there's going to be knight d2. So we took on b5 not to allow b takes a6. There was no need to allow that, but now we can simply play this, and we have to take this, and we lose because this leads to checkmate in one move. So Maxime out of the World Cup, but Karjakin, he looks like he is in good form and is going to be very, very tough to beat indeed. And I tip him to make it all the way to the finals, and I think we might get a finals matchup between Carlsen and Karjakin. But of course, a lot of things can happen, and well, we'll see in the next few days. Until then, bye bye.